For old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind. I don't remember.
The first word is should, which is important because it's asking should old acquaintance be forgot, etc., etc.
Yeah. So that's the only New Year's Carol. So that's what we.
It's a good
that's
one.
What
It's
we're
a good
here
song.
for. Well,
you know,
is a very
what's my
good
favorite
song.
thing about Auld Lang Syne, the song? My favorite thing about Auld Lang Syne is that no one knows what Auld Lang Syne means.
nope.
Like, I figured,
I
you know,
think some
when I was
old Scottish people do.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, it's just like another language. I'm sure if I looked it up, I would know what it means, right? But whatever. I think when I was younger, I thought it was German because I don't know what languages are. But then later, I'm like, okay, fine. What does Auld Lang Syne actually mean? And it's like, oh, it's an old-timey phrase, and the meaning has been lost to history. And I'm like, wait, so we just sing this song where we just say this thing that we don't know what it means, but it just probably means something about having
Doesn't it
good
mean like
times
time
with
gone past, times
like
with
something like
friends?
that? Yes, but like it's not actually known as far as I know.
That's great. I love that. Well, hi everybody.
Presumably because the English like murdered a bunch of people.
Yeah,
Probably so.
Well, also, I mean, just language be like that.
Hi everybody. It is RPG Book Club. In case you didn't recognize all of our voices, and also the fact that you are in your own podcatcher, and you can see the screen that says RPG Book Club New Year's episode. I'm nailing these intros, by the way. All the ones that I make up off the top of my head for a non-standard episode are great. It is not bad. I am Sam Allman, though.
I'm Maddy Grace Webben.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
And this is our first ever New Year's special. It's great. It's just because Parasite Eve is long. And it doesn't
actually... Yeah.
It doesn't end on New Year's. It comes 1 day short. No, 2 days short because it starts on Christmas Eve.
It ends on the 29th.
Yeah.
So close. But,
Well, wait.
And just for the record, today is the 27th when we're recording it. So
yeah.
So the day 6 is the 29th, but we could headcanon that when they do the stuff at the very end where they go to the opera a second time, we could say,
that could be
that's
New
on New
Year's.
Year's Eve.
Yeah, that could be New Year's.
I like that. So it starts on Christmas Eve and it ends on New Year's Eve. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And we're playing the rest of the game because we beat it this week. But before we talk about that, I want to talk about my week first because I am currently, at this exact second, stealing a washer and dryer from my neighbor.
Nice.
So our apartment is really dumb. It is a quadruplex, and it is the exact layout as the quadruplex across the street that we share a parking lot with. But one is owned by Randy's Apartments and one is owned by J.K. Rock Homes. We had applied for the one at J.K. Rock and they said no. So we got the one over at Randy's. At J.K. Rock, there's washer and dryer hookups plus a washer and dryer that they give you for living there in each unit. At Randy's Apartments, the washer and dryers are all in the basement. No big deal, except you have to bring your own. And why would I bring my own to then put it in a communal space? And it's dumb. And normally we go and just, there's a laundromat across the street. But timing of paychecks and loads of laundry didn't agree this month. And we're like out of towels to shower with. And I was out of pants to wear like out and about, so I wore swim trunks in like 11 degree weather to get groceries yesterday, and it's just a whole mess. And so I talked to our upstairs neighbors because they're loud as fuck, and I was going to like lord that over them and be like, I won't ever report you for how fucking loud you are all hours of the night if I can use your washer and dryer. But they said it wasn't theirs, so I'm like, okay, well there's two down there. So I talked to one person. I'm going to talk to one of the other people and it'll work. So I talked to Joven, our next door neighbor, and he was like, oh no, we don't have one either. So we realized that the previous tenants that lived in our apartment, they left a lot of shit downstairs in like a storage area. Like they left an old keyboard, they left a big ass Power Rangers like dollhouse playset. They left a lot of shit down there, and we're like, of course, if they left that, they probably left their washer and dryer too. And so I'm like, awesome, free washer, free dryer, except their washer is broken. And I found out that their washer was broken after it had filled up with water, and then it tried to spin the motor, couldn't spin the motor, so it drained the water. No. And so now I just had like goopy, gross clothes. So I put those in our upstairs neighbors, who I have not talked to's washer, and stole a load of laundry. And so I had to admit it to the internet at large. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Lee, if you are listening to this, I'll throw you a $5 or something to pay you back. But I think your dryer is plugged up to our electrical outlet downstairs, so I think we're even, TBH. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And I don't know if you've ever been in a basement while people are above you, but it's super loud down there because like they don't soundproof the floor for nobody to be under you. And it's like twice as loud as living under someone in an apartment. And so the whole time I was using their laundry, I was like, oh my God, that's them. They're coming down the stairs right now. They're gonna catch me. And if they did, I would have been like, oh, my bad, and explain the situation. They would have been like, no problem, Merry Christmas, but whatever.
Nice.
That's what I've been
live in Texas, and we don't have basements here for some reason. So no, I don't know how that's like.
It's because the water is 23 feet below you. That's why you don't have basements.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, low elevation gang. My week was dope. This holiday happened called Christmas.
I've heard of it.
I think like pretty much everyone, it's been a weird Christmas. It's the first Christmas in my whole life where I haven't seen my family, which sucks. But, you know, coronavirus is what it is. I'm wanting to visit my brother and sister. I've mentioned this, but I haven't yet. We'll see about that. My family had weird plans that I might tell you all about off recording because it's quite funny, actually. It's a weird, very strange situation. My parents did the thing that apparently everyone's parents does over Christmas during a pandemic, which is go and fly around for no reason, even though it's a pandemic. Because apparently parents aren't capable of understanding the concept of diseases. Not you, Sam. I mean parents of adults.
Yes.
And guess what? My sister's husband has the Rona, and now my dad might have the Rona. Probably because he was visiting his family over Christmas during a fucking pandemic. Although I will say I don't blame the sister's husband for the Rona. He's a nurse, and massive respect to nurses because they have to work in terrible work conditions, and they all get the fucking Rona, which sucks.
Yep.
So we definitely need to treat our essential workers better, and we need to treat nurses better in general. So I don't blame him for getting the Rona, but now he may or may not have spread it to like everyone in my family. So that's really fun. We love to see it, folks. Other than that, my own Christmas Eve was lovely. We had a 4-movie marathon. We watched The Muppets Christmas Carol, which is. That movie hits different this year. It's a lot.
I heard that
we got to get people
Michael Caine made a very strong point of playing Scrooge completely straight, like not acknowledging he's in a Muppet thing. Just like, I'm going to play this like I'm in a serious big boy play.
Yeah.
Not like
it's a
I'm
really
in a Muppet
good movie.
thing.
I cried like a tiny child. Even more than I did last year. It's just been a big year. Anyway, and then we watched... What did we watch next? We watched a Zatoichi film. It was okay. It wasn't the best Zatoichi film I've ever seen. The one the previous night that I watched was way better. If you want to watch a single Zatoichi film, watch... I forget the... Zatoichi... visits
Fire Festival?
Yes, Zatoichi goes to the Fire Festival. It's fantastic.
I just remember seeing you and your friend talking about Zatoichi going to the Fire Festival and screaming about it.
It's fantastic.
On
Whereas
Twitter.
Zatoichi meets the One-Armed Swordsman, it's fine. It's got some great fights, but whatever.
For context, Zatoichi is a very long-running series of samurai films.
Yep.
from Japan. There's like 20 something of them, I think.
They're all basically the same. They all have pretty much the exact same plot, and some of them are better than others, and some of them are fantastic.
So it's like James Bond, but with a samurai, and
Significantly
I think it's
more
always played
so.
by the same guy.
I cannot express the degree to which these are all the same movie, though. Yes, and they're all by the same guy. Anyway, the point is they're great. And anyway, and then after Zatoichi, which that wasn't a Christmas movie, we just had to watch the Zatoichi movie. And then after that, we watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, a Shane Black film. Fantastic movie. It's set at Christmas like most Shane Black films, and it's my second time watching it. It's awesome. Highly recommended. Then we watched Muppets Christmas Carol again because the 20th anniversary re-release in the year 2012, they added a commentary where like Kermit and Rizzo and the Gonzo and stuff are commentating the film in character. Wasn't very good. It was pretty boring, actually. If they were a little more clever, I would have said that the joke is that they're doing a parody of a bad commentary track. But it did have some good japes in it. But whatever. I mean, it's a great movie, and by that point, me and my friends were just like straight. We were just vibing, right? We were just like hanging out. The movie was kind of there. We started doing our own riffs, and it was better than the riffs in the commentary track. But it was
one of my favorite videos in the world is on Homestar Runner. There's this, they have the old timey versions of the characters, and there's this series of videos called Kick the Can, where it's just old timey Homestar Runner kicking a can, and there's a million of them, and they're boring as fuck. And there's a video that's a commentary track where the brother who doesn't do voices is just talking as himself, and the brother who does do the voices is talking in character as old-timey Homestar and old-timey Strong Bad, and they're just both losing their minds at how boring this is, and it's hysterical, and it's one of my favorite videos on YouTube.
That's really funny. So anyway, if you're interested in watching that commentary track, you can skip it. Though the second commentary released in 2002 on the 10-year anniversary, which is a Brian Henson commentary that probably is like a typical commentary where you learn a lot about the production. I haven't watched that one yet. Maybe it's good. Anyway, the point is, it was a good time with my friends. And then the next day, I had a call with my mom, and there was some hilarious transphobia. I'm not actually being sarcastic. It was hilarious. I'll tell y'all later off the pod. And yeah, no, it's been a really good week for me. I've been straight vibing. I love this time of year. And even though it's really weird and a lot of people are, it's tough for a lot of people, including me and people I know, it's also a beautiful time of year. And also earlier today, Trump finally signed the thing, which, I mean, it sucks, but it's better than nothing. It's still good that some people are going to get a little bit of money, whatever.
It's the $600, right?
Yes. Trump tried to strong arm them into doing 2,000, which would have been incredible. And I would have had to post about how Trump is fucking based. But unfortunately, he didn't manage to swing it. So I don't have to treat how Trump is based, which is too bad. But yeah, anyway, that he just signed it though like an hour ago. Just so you know, if you were paying attention to that if you were on Tinterhooks, read that whole thing. Yeah. Anyway.
I saw that he signed something, but it's hard to keep track of what there is to sign.
The one that he vetoed, because a few days ago he was like, what is this? A stimulus package for ants? The amount of direct payment must be at least 3 times this size. See, that's funny because he actually did want it to be 3 times bigger.
Yes, it is funny.
That's the one where he... And then the squad was like, oh, we happen to have already written an amendment to make all the 600s become 2000s. Isn't that cool that we already wrote that amendment? And then they were going to do it. And then Nancy Pelosi was like, yo, what if we did a universal consent, which means it's a vote where everyone has to vote yes, and if only one person votes no, it tanks it. And I'm like, Pelosi, why would you do that? You know it's going to fail. Did you just do that because you don't actually want it to happen? I'm pretty sure that's the reason. So she tried to push it through via unanimous consent because she's an evil bitch. It failed. Some shit was going to happen tomorrow they were going to like reopen Congress and debate the amendment, but Trump just signed the thing. So I guess it's over. But just so you know, that's the deal. Whatever. That's it. That's it for my week. A lot of stuff going on. I'm in a good mood. I love Christmas, etc., etc., etc. What's up with you, Sam? Or what's up with you, Bernard?
My week has been kind of weird because of weird scheduling stuff. I had a day off on the 23rd, then I worked Christmas Eve, then I was off on Christmas, and then I worked the next day, and then I'm off today. So I've been off 3 days this week, but it also doesn't feel like I've had a full weekend. And I just stayed home for Christmas. I was thinking of going to my parents' place for Christmas and spending Christmas with my family, but I wasn't sure about it because, you know, there's a coronavirus, in case you haven't heard. And but then it turned out my mom and my aunt and my cousin all flew to Nashville and lived it up and went to the Grand Ole Opry and everything. And I was like, well, I'm not sure I want to hang out and hug flying around people. So I guess I'll stay here because I would have only been able to visit for like 24 hours anyway. So I just stayed home and I FaceTimed with my family, and my 13-year-old nephew's voice completely changed from the last time I spoke to him, and it freaked me the fuck out. Like, I assume that's not so weird if it's your child and you live with them and you're with them through the process of that. But like when it happens all at once from your perspective, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. It's like when you play Kingdom Hearts 1 and then you play Kingdom Hearts 2.
And then you play Kingdom Hearts 3 and it's a 30-year-old man trying to sound like a Mickey Mouse 15-year-old.
Yep.
But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Smash Brothers. Like I've been playing it online, which I never really do. Out. Yeah, Sephiroth fucking rules. I love Sephiroth
so much. He's so fucking sick.
I was like, Sephiroth is a really weird choice, but then one, he's so much fun to play as, and two, I like the remixes, the new arrangements of the music, especially Aerith's theme. So I just love it. I'm so happy with Sephiroth.
Yeah. It makes sense when
critical support for Sephiroth.
It makes sense when you remember that Smash Ultimate is not a video game made by a company that thinks about its decisions and what'll please the fans and stuff. No, Smash Ultimate is a game made by one weird guy who loves dumb shit and wants to see his favorite characters in a video game, and he because Sakurai is a fucking weirdo, and he's like, no, fuck you, I'm putting Sephiroth in the goddamn game. Yeah, I couldn't believe not just how much fun he is, but how good I am with him. I'm good with Sephiroth.
I love when someone is jumping towards the edge of the stage and you set up a Giga Flare to pop right when they're getting back on the stage.
Perfect.
It feels so good.
Didn't feel good when he kept doing it against me, but once I started doing it, it was great. It's cheating if someone else does it, but it's just good gameplay if I'm doing it.
Yes. I think that's all that happened in my week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Speaking of holidays, you guys reminded me of two things that I did want to talk about. So I mentioned on, I think, the Over the Moon episode that my family, my immediate family, me, Summer, and the kids are no longer celebrating Thanksgiving because it's fucked. And we are instead doing our big like yearly get together and feast on the 1st, the New Year's. And we were like, and then what we'll do is starting on Sebastian's birthday on the 18th, that's when we'll start our Christmas advent calendar and do something every day leading up to Christmas, celebrate Christmas, do something every day leading up to the 1st. We accidentally just invented Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa, celebrating all three of them. Like all of our ideas were just those things. Like,
oh my God, I just realized I forgot my mom's birthday. Fuck.
Is your mom's birthday also around Christmas?
It's on the 13th.
My mom's birthday is on Christmas Eve.
I'm such a jerk.
Which makes it really easy to remember.
Yeah. But So like from approximately the 18th to the 24th is approximately Hanukkah, and then Christmas is the 25th, and then from the 26th to the 1st is approximately Kwanzaa. And Hanukkah and Kwanzaa both are do a little something with the family every night and talk about all the things. And like Kwanzaa's first night is even a memory of looking back over the past year, which is what we do on the 18th. And so we much like modern millennials accidentally invented a thing that's been around for hundreds of years. Just like when those white guys invented the cellar last year. I don't know if you saw that. They were trying to sell people cellars that have, it's literally just a hole in your backyard, and they were trying to market it and sell it. But,
but like every week on Twitter, someone accidentally invents buses or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Silicon Valley entrepreneurs love to invent buses.
Yeah. So that was our holiday discovery this year, is that we're Jewish, Black, and Christian all at once is what we ended up with. But super stoked for the first. Summer's been gathering recipes to make our big ass feast, and I'm really excited for that.
Hell yeah.
But, the other thing is you talking about Satoichi. So for Christmas, Scarlett got a shitload of Barbies, and Storm just wants everything that Scarlett has. So one of our neighbors brought over a bunch of Barbies, and that included quote unquote Barbies that were like some Mego Power Ranger dolls and some old like Happy Meal She-Ra toys and stuff like that. They all had hair, so they were kind of Barbie-ish, but they don't fit any of Scarlett's stuff. So we gave those to Storm. So he had these Power Rangers, and I'm like, you've never seen Power Rangers. I looked up where it was streaming, only on Netflix. We don't have Netflix right now, but Super Sentai is streaming on Tubi TV. So I started watching some old Super Sentai, and it's really good. It's like hilarious, and like it's really fucking good. And if you haven't ever watched it, Tubi TV is free, so you have an account, you just don't know it. So go to Tubi.tv, tubi.tv, watch some old Super Sentai. The one we're watching is I forget the kanji words, but the katakana word is Mega Ranger. It's Power Rangers Lost in Space, if you recognize the outfits.
That's a good one.
But the hilarious thing to me is the original Japanese is not about them being lost in space. They are the Earth-based defense force for NASA, but they're all video game characters. So the whole thing is like riffs on video games and stuff like that. They just happen to be around spaceships. So Saban in the 90s started building out this world of like going on spaceships and going into outer space. And then every week they got footage of people on rooftops in Japan fighting. So good luck with that. And I thought that was a hilarious thing. So of all of the original Power Rangers series, the In Space and Lost Galaxy both have the lowest amount of tokusatsu footage because they couldn't make it work because they already shot a pilot where they went to fucking outer space.
Nice.
That must have been an interesting and fun writing challenge.
Right?
Adapting Power Rangers, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, I started watching it. It's fully hilarious. And today, while I was waiting for Maddy to record because she was an hour late, I started watching, it's called Magical Girl Chukana Pai Pai. It's on YouTube on Toei's Tokusatsu channel, and it's like chortle laughing hilarious the whole way through. It's about this girl from another dimension that comes to our dimension to escape being married to an evil king and to survive in Japan. She answers these little boys' ad where they're asking for a new mom because they hate their babysitter. And so she answers that ad as their like live-in nanny, and it's great and it's hilarious. And I highly recommend that one as well.
Hell yeah.
But that's it. That's all I did this week besides like Christmassy shit.
Nice.
So
one final thing. Wait, also I watched Blade Runner again. Update. It's still incredible. It's one of the best movies of all time. Yeah, I'm just letting you know in case you thought maybe it stopped being good. It's also this isn't actually necessary for a movie to be good, okay? Like, a movie can not do this and can still be a good movie, but Perfect Politics, honestly. 100% unexceptionable. It's an extremely powerful film and is relevant in all times, politically and thematically. But also, it's an incredible fucking movie. And secondly, I watched the latest Pixar movie, Soul. This is the first Pixar movie I've seen since Monsters University, and I gotta say, it's fantastic. Y'all should watch it. It's really great.
I've heard it's great.
I have a few lingering thoughts about why maybe it's not good, actually. There's some themes that I'm still wrestling with in my brain, and I'll see where I settle on it. But my initial thought was like, yo, this movie rules. It's really, really good. So if you're thinking about that, go watch it if you have some access to Disney. My friend has a Disney Plus account, so that's why I watched it. Okay. I had to get that out there.
I saw someone tweet, Pixar has done it again. Asterisk, enter, asterisk, made a film.
That's funny.
Also, fun fact for this episode, I'm drunk.
Nice.
That never happened.
I made an alcoholic beverage. I made an alcoholic beverage to sip during the episode, but Maddy was late, so I finished it all.
Nice. I am finishing one beer, which, on account of hormones, sometimes does get me fucked up, but it seems like I'm fine so far.
Awesome.
Time to drink exactly one beer and call 911.
Exactly. Anyway, let's listen to some. God, who even knows? There's so much great music in this game. Let's listen to
really like
something.
the music that plays in Chinatown.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Anyway, let's listen to something.
Maddy, what happens on day 4?
All right, so it is
Eve?
day 4, aka December 27th. We got to start by saying I forgot a detail from last time. Police Chief Baker died at the end of last week. I forgot to say that. So now,
did he? Because I was like, why are they acting like he's not here now?
He died saving Ben. Anyway,
I guess I missed that somehow.
Yeah, me too.
So anyway, now Daniel is temporarily in charge. So we talk with Nagito Komaeda because we're confused about why Eve would attack here. Here being the police station, if you recall, the monsters attacked the police station. Bulma says that she sensed Eve was in the building, but she left soon after we arrived. Maeda realized it must have been a diversion and asks if there's a sperm bank or insemination facility nearby. There is. His thinking is that Eve's body won't last long, and she needs to birth the ultimate being. We head to the hospital. That's right, she's going to get impreg with Shadow the Hedgehog. On the way, we ask Maeda, oh yeah, what happened to the ultimate being? He's like, oh, it died, and so did the mom and dad. It's more detailed than that. It's actually kind of gruesome and weird, but I'm not going to go into it. We get to the hospital, and that's our dungeon for this day. And as usual, it's really hot, and Maeda can't approach, just like with Central Park. We go in alone, and it gets real spoopy. Everyone knows a scary hospital is one of the scariest kinds of places. Our elevator...
There's like 3 or 4 Shin Megami Tensei games where the first dungeon is a hospital.
Yeah, that's true.
Enough said.
Our elevator breaks, and we're stuck in the basement, and the power is off, and it's scary. Eve starts speaking from an unknown location and is toying with us. Ah, fuck, Eve is trying to steal Bulma's sperm. Anyway, this dungeon is big on atmosphere and light on plot. Bulma continues to see the mysterious kiddo, blah, blah, blah. Back on the ground floor, we realize that some medical people are still here, and they're in danger. We save a doctor, and he says, go next door to save the nurse. We go in and fight some monsters, and oh fuck, it's the room from the flashback. It's the hospital room with the beds. We're in it for reals.
Oh shit.
Eventually, we learn that the sperm bank is kept super duper fucking freezing with liquid nitrogen, which can be shut off. So we're like, let's go kill all the sperms. Let's go do an abortion. Eventually, we get to the room and fuck, the big cylinder canisters are all knocked over and little vials of sperm are spilled all over. We're too late.
Gross.
So gross.
Yeah. Bulma investigates and finds the HLA list again. Bulma's mother, as well as her sister, were both taken into the hospital on December 23rd, 1977, after a car accident. The mom died, but the sister, Maya, the next page is missing. Another record. Melissa was hospitalized on December 23rd, 1977. Fuck! At the same time, she had some kind of serious problem and was in the hospital for 6 months, which, like, yikes, think of the fucking bills. And then was released with some medication. We head up and we get a cutaway scene to some new characters. We see what appears to be the bridge of a Navy vessel, and oh, look, there's an admiral. He's commanding a bunch of fighter jets to try and go kill the monster, Godzilla style. I guess it's an aircraft carrier. The coolest kind of boat. Anyway, we get to the roof and fight a pretty fun boss. It's a giant spider. It's got 2 phases. It's funny, the attack patterns are the same in each phase, so the only thing that makes phase 2 harder is that it's a different camera angle, which is kind of cute, actually. So anyway, now we confront Eve.
Phase 2 itself has 2 phases. He has different attacks for the second half of phase 2, but the first half of phase 2 is literally the same thing. It's just harder to move around.
Oh yeah, that's right. Once you get towards the end, that's right. That's right. He does have a different phase at the end of that section. That's true. Like the I'm almost dead, so I'm going to have different moves now, which this game does pretty consistently. Anyway, we confront Eve once more. Bulma tells Eve that she knows her plan to birth the ultimate being. Eve says years ago in Japan, her, quote, sister made a mistake, but she's more evolved than her sister and will succeed where she failed. Bulma is like, sister? My sister? Which is weird because there's no connection. It's just that she said sister and Bulma has a sister. But I guess she's doing free association. I mean, there is a connection, but we don't know that yet, and neither does Bulma. So she's just doing free association. She's like, wait.
Remember the free association scene in Dinosaurs in Pakistan, a game everyone's played?
Yes. But yeah, so Bulma's literally just like, I have it. It's kind of like when he's like, what is it? Darn it. Pop Secret. It's like the Pop Secret. So anyway, so then we see some cool as bitch FMVs where Eve fucks up the fighter jets gruesomely, making
it's so gross.
Making mitochondrial fluid pour out of their mouths and fill the cockpit, causing them to lose control. Oh no, the plane is headed for the roof. So now we have a really stupid scene. It's actually really funny. And from a audio-visual production standpoint, it's actually very well done. I kind of love it, except that this game doesn't have checkpoints is the problem. So we have a really stupid timed scene where we have to escape from the roof, where basically we're just on the roof, and Bulma is like, oh no, the plane, it's coming right at the roof. Now, we don't see the plane coming through. We just hear an airplane noise, and it gets louder and louder and louder as the plane approaches, which is like, that's such like an old-timey film thing to do, right? It's like, oh no, the thing that's happening off screen that we don't have good enough special effects to show you, but it's happening. It's really funny. Anyway, so we have a certain number of seconds to get off the roof, and it's just not very clear where you're supposed to go, and if you die, you have to do everything again, the boss and all that. It sucks.
Also, I just find it really funny how you're like a plane is hurtling towards the roof, and Aya's like, oh no, the plane is hurtling towards the roof. Better jog across the roof and find somewhere to go. Yeah. And it's just, she has a lot of time.
It's very, it's really funny how long it goes on for, but I did still get owned. One reason I got owned is because at this point, I've decided to go all in on using my extremely, extremely weird VHS filter that I've been sharing in the chat. and I gave it a gross yellow
Oh my
tint, so it looks
God.
like you're watching on. It looks like you're watching on a VHS that's like faded. It was even harder to parse. So for this scene, after dying twice on my third try, I did actually put the normal graphics back on so that I could see things.
Oh yeah, I think the thing you're supposed to jump on, the like window cleaner thing, is yellow. So
No,
they make it yellow so you can see it.
No, that's fine. It's I don't have the yellow. That's fine, because what I do is I'm not making everything yellow. I'm making everything black and white and then giving it a yellow tint.
Oh.
So no, it said it's off. What it is the place you're supposed to go, the thing that you're supposed to jump on is off screen. The screen has to scroll. So there's no way to know where to go. But if you have the graphics turned on properly, it's easy to tell where not to go. Like, because I was running it in ways that were clearly like blocked. And then once I put the graphics on, I was like, oh, there's a giant crack there. Okay, I can't go that way. But anyway, I highly recommend playing this entire game through with extremely weird lo-fi VHS monochrome aesthetics. Later I switched it to a blood red, and then at the ending I switched it to blue, which was fun. I only had to turn it off like once. I think that's the only time I had to turn it off the entire time. So anyway, where is it? We escaped to one of those service elevator things for washing windows. But then a monster trips the switch, and we have one of those great tropes where it's an elevator battle. So the elevator is falling down the side of the building, doing that FF8 like combination of FMV and gameplay kind of thing. But it's a simple battle. We literally just like kill one weak monster and then flip the switch. Bulma then safely makes it back to Daniel and Maeda on the ground. Meanwhile,
so I want to tell my story with this three-part combination here. So I get in there the first time, and I'm fighting the spider boss, and it's real darn hard. Like, they do a thing where they shoot out webs, and the webs keep you from moving, but also like hit you for like 3 full melee attacks worth of damage. And it's bullshit, and it's real hard, and you have to manage all your resources really hard. And it was a very hard fight, but I beat it on my first try. So then the airplane starts coming, and I'm like, I am up. I came from down. She wants to go down. I will go to where I came from. And that way was blocked off. So then I went back towards the top, because there's like a ramp that looks like you should be able to walk on it at the top, but that is also blocked off. And then I'm like, there is hole. I jumped down hole 3 times in game. I jumped down hole again, tried to mash X on it, could not do it. But by then I finally saw the thing on the bottom, was too late, and I died. So then I couldn't beat the spider boss for like 6 tries, and I ended up leaving and going and trying to find a tool in an old dungeon that I may have missed, so that I could rejigger my guns to be able to do it better. And finally came back and beat it very closely, where I was like I beat it with like no PE left and no healing left and like 40 HP. So then I get on the elevator and I have to do a fight, and I'm like, oh god, if I fucking die here,
oh my god,
one more goddamn time, it would suck so bad. So yeah, it's just a piddly little spider, but one hit I probably would have had to do the whole thing over and over again, and it fucking sucked. But in the museum I got a kick-ass gun that cheesed the whole rest of the game, so it was fine. But that was really tense. And it sucked, but ruled at the same time.
You might have heard a thud while Sam was talking, because I fell off my chair. As you may remember from earlier in the episode, I am drunk.
It's definitely a tricky boss. And this game is interesting in that. Actually, I'll get into some of the interesting gameplay things later. So anyway,
this week it became obvious that this game was designed for checkpoints about 5 years before games typically had checkpoints.
Yeah, totally. If they did like a HD remaster, they would just need to give it an autosave system. And you know me, I'm usually in favor of limited save systems, and like I'm not into the whole save anytime you want thing. I love Dragon Quest, right? But with this particular game, it's like, no, that makes sense. Or like it's a reasonable thing for this game to do. If you're gonna have these like, if you're gonna have basically QTE type stuff, right? Autofill QTE. I mean, that's just typical. Yeah. So anyway, I agree. So anyway. Meanwhile, Daniel learned some stuff. In the past, a doctor from that hospital was fired for giving out a patient list, violating HIPAA. It was Clamp, obviously. In addition, we learned that Melissa was seen going into the museum late at night on several occasions. So now we know for sure that Melissa and Clamp are definitely in cahoots. And Melissa will probably be meeting with him somewhere. We don't know where, though, even though it's obviously the museum. So we split up to explore the city. Day 5, December 28th. Oh, there's an optional dungeon here. It's a warehouse. I realize now that I definitely could have done the warehouse like 2 entire dungeons later, but oh well, I did it right now. So it's hard as fuck.
Yeah, I did it after the sewer and it was still really hard.
Yeah, I did it right at the start of day 5. It's a really, really hard optional dungeon. But you do get a lot of great loot, like a lot of tools, and a rocket launcher. The rocket launcher has its own special ammo, very limited. I believe in the entire game I ended up getting like 12 rockets, and I used them all a little bit later on a hard boss. I had a very tense moment in this dungeon, actually, where I got to the very end, and I fought all the really hard battles, but then I was down to having like 20 health, and I had no healing items, and I had no magic. And now magic recharges, but it only recharges in combat. So it's like, if I have to do one of these hard battles again, I'm fucked. I mean, there was a save point, but it's like, I was like, it could be possible that I can't get out. Like, what if I just ruined my save? Like, what if I can't get out of here, right? This game does let you run from combat, though. So I didn't have battles on any of the rooms, and then I got up to the very first room, and I did have a battle. And I ran away, but when you run away, it places you back at the start of the room. So as I tried to go through the room again, I got into a battle a second time. So then I ran away a second time, and then I didn't get the battle that time. The RNG was nice to me, and I escaped. It was very tense. And like, that wasn't me being cowardly. That was me doing the math in my head and being like, I can't beat this battle. There's just no fucking way. Maybe I can avoid these attacks, but probably not, right? So anyway, that was very scary. So
yeah, the Undertale of the game got real hard in the second half. Yeah, like I felt like I would maybe take like 2 to 3 hits per random mob the first half. The second half, it's like, no, I'm just going to tank this until I can knock off a heal 3, because
I feel like I also got better and better at it, though. Like, it was cool. I could feel my own skill improving, and it's like, man, you know, this Square wasn't really known for making action games at this point, and they really did a good job with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but Bulma decides to go to Chinatown. We just go through it. I think there's like some slime or whatever, so we follow some slime, and the slime goes into the manhole, so we follow it, and yay, it's a sewer dungeon. So the first half of this sewer dungeon sucks, but the second half owns. The first half of it looks like one of those like Lost Woods things where the graphics are just repeating, but they're not actually. It's actually just a maze, and it's really boring, though it does have a lot of great loot. The second half, you get a lot of bespoke, beautiful shots of like you're really small on the screen and you're next to like some giant sewer apparatus, right? And you're climbing up a giant ladder next to a huge waterfall. It's actually really cool. Anyway, whatever. We see a huge mess of slime, which is all of Hero from Central Park. It's gross. We fight some monsters. There's a boss, whatever, and we end up in a subway. And then we end up on the Brooklyn Bridge. And then we see some graphics and shit, and we see something crazy is going down at the museum. So we go to the museum, which we should have gone to all along. If you try to go earlier, the door is locked. I didn't know that, but that's what Sam said. So, so the museum
one important thing does happen in the sewer. You run into random mobs that are the crocodile boss from the beginning of the game, because every time you get to the end of a game and they give you the first boss as a random mob,
always a great trope.
I love it.
The museum is mostly so the museum is the game's final dungeon, which is cool because we've already been in the museum like 3 times. They've really been building it up, right? It's a great dungeon. It's enormous. First of all, it's like 4 floors. Well, the 4th floor is just the end, but there's like 3 floors, and each floor is a bunch of rooms, way more rooms than any location in the game, way more, pre-rendered screens than any other location in the game. It's
like every floor is about the size of the police station dungeon, and there are 4 of them, and it's dope.
Yeah, it's really good. If y'all recall, there's lots of fossils of dinos everywhere, so obviously that shit's going to come to life, and it does.
Yeah,
it rules.
They're Chekhov's dinosaurs.
Yeah. The whole dungeon, they're building up the fact that in the center of, like, the centerpiece of the main hall of the museum is a giant T-Rex. So they're building it up like, hey, you see that T-Rex? And eventually, yes, we fight a T-Rex boss. That's actually later, but yeah, it's really, really good dramatic build-up. It's the final boss of this dungeon. It rules. So anyway, halfway through, we get to the lab room where Clamp usually is, and Maeda is there. He says he needs to check something. He gives... Actually, hold on a second. I need to check something real quick. Have I seriously not used that word? Oh, damn it. There's a bit I was going to do. But I'll go ahead and do it. Weird I've gotten this far in the game without using the M word. Anyway, this far in the notes. Anyway, so Maeda's there. He says he needs to check something. He gives Maya a special gun and says it, quote, might come in handy. The gun sucks. He says there's some blood serum with Maya's name labeled in the freezer. The research code for it was called Eve. It's a culture of liver cells. What the fuck? Clamp had been working on it. He was also doing research on artificial sperm for Eve. Artificial sperm with no midichlorians. He took the ones he made here and started artificially inseminating people at the hospital. So he's gone full mad scientist. He's making fake sperms. He's inseminating people against their will. He's doing all these midichlorian experiments. Yes, that is the bit I mentioned earlier. So Clamp shows up. There's a big fight. He's gone full mad scientist, but Daniel shows up and clocks him a good one. Clamp says that midichlorians are passed on from the mother, but traces of the patrilinear midichlorians can be found in small quantities. Eve failed her goal in Japan because the father's midichlorians rebelled, so hence making sperm cells with no midichlorian DNA. In case you're curious, the thing about it being passed on, the quote-unquote midichlorian DNA being passed on through the mother, that is real. That's real science, actually.
Cool.
Anyway, so Eve, using Melissa's body, is now pregonate with the ultimate being. Clamp then blows himself the fuck up, but Daniel and Maeda make it out, and Bulma is unharmed. Clamp is then burning alive on the floor, and we just leave him. Fucking savage.
Yep.
Daniel and Maeda fucking leap out of a 2nd-story window.
Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah.
So anyway, we continue the dungeon and try to get to the 4th floor where we've learned...
It was around... So it was around this scene that I realized that this game was rated M for mature, not because of all the gross body horror shit, but because there's a lot of uncomfortable talk about sperm.
Yeah, no, that is... If you look at the back of, like, the rating, that is why. It's, like, references to, like... It's like sexual content, right? Gross body shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, we find out that Eve's on the 4th floor, and we try to go there, but it's all blocked off by gross biological growth stuff. We try to find an alternate way around, but end up getting knocked into the main room with a huge T-Rex, and we fight it. It's a fun boss. It's not very hard. Then we go up the alternate staircase, and we confront Eve. Or, rather, before that, we leave, go back to the police station, or even do some grinding, because that's right, folks. This is a point of no return. Right the fuck here. This game has 6 days, and we're in day 5, and here's the PNR. No, the game does not tell us this. Anyway, we save, and we confront Eve. Luckily, I remembered from last time I played this game that this is the PNR. Well, I didn't know exactly it was here, but I started rolling my saves. Anyway, we save, and we confront Eve. She's all kinds of fucked up, caught in a huge bio-organ web thingy, and she's extremely pregante. Bulma says, "Why are you doing this?" And she says, good question. Why do humans give birth? I like this a lot. It introduces a theme that is similar to one of the secondary themes of Chrono Cross, the idea of the sort of amorality of the survival instinct. Anyway, finally, all the goop comes out of the sewers like we saw it was earlier and makes a fucking giant monster that grabs Eve and runs off toward the Hudson Bay. My notes just here had... The capitalization that I use on certain words for emphasis is really weird and doesn't make sense, which is in line with this game. We exit and we talk with Daniel and Maeda. Maeda says he's figured out some shit. When she was a kid, Melissa was horribly injured or sick or something, and she needed a liver transplant. At the same time, Maya died, and they were compatible. So the doctors transplanted Maya's kidney into Melissa, but Clamp was there as an intern. But all the doctors doing the transplant shit started to scream. The kidney was like burning hot. It turned out the original Eve was present in Maya. Somehow, the game never explains why Maya had Eve inside of her. It's weird how that's not explained, but whatever. Maybe it just evolved. Anyway, Eve killed Melissa's brain, cultured the kidney, and got her own physical body. The body's immune system needed to be suppressed so that Eve could take over. So basically, the Eve midichlorians fucked up Melissa's body more and more so that she'd take more and more immunosuppressants until eventually her body was so weak that Eve could take it over. So Maya, Bulma's sister, is in fact Eve all along, or rather Eve was within her all along. So that's the explanation. Clamp did this mad scientist shit to help make Eve be born again by doing fucked up shit. Why? I don't know, because he's cray-cray. But of course Eve did it because she's Eve and she wants to exist and propagate her species. So Eve is now on Ellis Island. The entire Statue of Liberty is like covered by a giant fucking blob. The planes attack, but it owns them. They tell Maya, okay, so at this point it's just cutscenes and bosses, FYI. They tell Maya only she can get close enough to kill it. So they do some complicated stuff involving helicopters. It's cool and it works. I'm not going to explain it. With the military's guidance and some autopiloting, Bulma shoots a big missile at the enormous monster and blows it all up. There's an incredible shot where the goo drips down the Statue of Liberty. It fucking rules.
Yes, it does.
Then we're back on the battleship. It's actually not an aircraft carrier. Earlier it was an aircraft carrier, but now it's a battleship. That was mentioned at some point. It's weird. I guess maybe the aircraft carrier got destroyed or something. Anyway,
no, it's the same ship. It just they can't decide what it is, and all of the pre-rendered background stuff is definitely aircraft carrier. The FMV stuff is definitely battleship. It just
there we
vacillates
go.
between the two.
So everyone's like, it's over. It's finally over. But Bulma's like, no, it ain't. I need to finish this. So she skydives onto Ellis Island. Also, we get a save point. But remember, we're rolling our saves. Sure enough, Eve is still alive. We get a fantastic 2-part boss fight. It's insanely fucking hard, at least it is for me. This is the boss fight that killed my save when I played it like 8 years ago. I was up till 6 a.m. trying to beat it last night. But eventually I did. It's
also important to note, in all the blowing stuff up and shit, the Statue of Liberty has fallen over and is horizontal in the background during this fight and looks really cool.
Yeah, it's really dope. So this fight, it's a very well designed fight. I kind of love it. It has some attacks that you can't dodge, which is normally really annoying, but it's only part of the attacks and you have to just deal with them, which is cool. One thing that's funny is after I tried it twice, which took a long time because there's like cutscenes and all that stuff, right? And the fight itself takes a while. So like it's a lot of work to fight it just twice. Maybe I tried it 3 times. Eventually I was like, fuck, I'm doing the thing I always hate to do, which is I'm going to go online and get some help, right? So I load up my previous save, which was after I had beaten the T-Rex boss, and I'm like, time to grind. My main issue is that one of her moves drained your MP, and if she drained your MP, you need to have healing items to heal yourself while your MP recovers, right? And I really didn't have very many at all. I hadn't done a good job keeping up with them. So I basically just grinded for healing items, which is tough because the RNG percentages of the enemy encounters had gone way down, because I also got lost in the museum for a long time. So like, most of the rooms had like really low percentages. So I did 3 things. I got lots of healing items. What else did I do? Oh, I got a little bit of experience points, although I don't think I actually leveled up because of the way the skill curve works in this game. And then finally, and this is the critical part if you're playing along, the room right before you confront Eve in the museum had a hidden treasure chest. It's not really that hidden. I just did a bad job exploring. That's critically important. It's 2 treasure chests. One is a tool, which is, important. I'll add a tool. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I was too liberal with my tool usage, so when I really needed them, I didn't have any. When I really needed to use them strategically, I just didn't have them, right? So I had guns that were powerful, but didn't have what they needed to have. Typical character build problems. Anyway, so there's a tool, and there's a gun called like the M9000, and this fucking gun, first of all, it's got the best base stats in the game, so most players make this their primary gun after finding it. I didn't, because I didn't have enough tools to transfer the stuff to it. But it has an ability, which is actually not the first gun that has this ability. It's the second gun that has this ability, but I hadn't noticed because I had too many guns and the game's kind of complicated. It has an ability called like double action, where every time your ATB meter fills, you get to do 2 things, and that's amazing. You can cast haste and attack, because normally it's like, I want to cast haste, but haste doesn't last that long, so you're really only getting 2 or 3 shots off after you use haste. So like, how much is it really worth wasting a turn to cast haste to get more turns, right? But now you can cast haste and attack, or you can cast haste and heal, or heal and attack, or you can just attack twice as much. It's fantastic, and not only is it like OP, it's the best kind of OP because it's not actually OP. It feels like you're incredibly powerful, but also it's the end of the game, and now the game's hard, and it's just another layer of strategic consideration that you have to make. And you really do get to make some really interesting, intelligent choices with this. Like sometimes you don't need to haste, you don't need to heal, you don't need to cast any spells or use any items. All you need to do is attack, but you actually don't use both of your actions, because if you attacked 4 times in a row, the enemy would hit you. So it's really cool. Anyway, so that's I hadn't noticed that, which is the reason why I hadn't known to beat the battle. So it turns out all that grinding I did didn't matter. The healing items, I didn't use a single one. I just played way better. And then in the first round, I actually didn't even use the double attack because I was using my rocket launcher. So I used my rocket launcher. So basically the first phase, I just played twice as good as I'd played before. The hour of preparation didn't matter. And the second phase, I was with my rifle, which had the double action, which meant I was able to beat it. If I hadn't had it, I probably still would have beaten it, though. So a little bit funny. Yeah. Point is, this game's mechanics are interesting. They really came alive, and the game certainly had some problems, but I really enjoyed this part of the game.
Yeah, I don't even remember the Eve fight because of 2 things that went differently for me than they did for you. So first off, I got the shotgun and the M8000 in the museum. I also got a super tool and 2 tools. So my M8000 had a burst, so it shoots in a cone to hit multiple enemies from the shotgun. It also used the super tool to get my stats from my rifle I'd had for the whole game, and it also took the acid damage, which does damage over time from my rifle. So it was really darn good, and because of that, I had a pretty easy time for the rest of it. So it had like 75 attack instead of about its base stats are right around like 49. So I had 75 attack, double attack, damage over time, and could hit multiple people at once. I also used Liberate, and Liberate just one hit killed her first phase. So it was a one hit.
See, I hadn't used that because it uses all of your MP. So I was like,
it does about 4,000 damage.
Okay, well, I should have just used Liberate.
She hits like 8 times for like 300 damage. So
I considered doing it, but I kept just being really like, okay,
good.
But if it drains all my MP, then I'm not going to have any MP, and then I'm going to die, you know?
Yeah, but I had double attacks and healing items, so fuck it, use all my my parasite energy. I can last until I get up to heal 3 again using other things. So I did so, and
that fucking
it rules. It also was how I got through the final boss pretty easy. It was like I was able to get it off twice, and it was dope. But we'll get to that part.
So the neat thing about this game, I was going to mention this earlier, its experience curve is really neat. Basically, it's designed so that pretty much everyone beats the game at the same level. I think it's like 35 or so, because around that time, the experience curve just gets outrageously steep, to the point where, like, even if you went around and grinded for an hour or 2, you would not gain another level. So the game has a lot of variety with regards to character builds, but your experience is about just, it is what it is. And on one hand, that's cool because it lets them control the experience and have this really tense, exciting fight. On the other hand, it does mean that if you build your character bad, you can be screwed, right? If you don't, because tools are limited there are a limited number of tools. They actually are random drops, but usually they're low percentage and only from certain enemies.
There is something interesting, though. I was looking up some information about the game, and to get from level 34 to 35 and 35 to 36, extremely long and difficult process. But then after that,
after 38, 38 is like 40 fucking thousand experience points, but then after that, it's like 4,000.
It's because you're supposed to get stuck at the end of this game at about 35, and then when you do New Game Plus to get the true ending, it wants you to level up again to be able to get through it. So
there's literally gamified guides on like how to get to level 38, because it is such an enormous hump, and there's so much grinding to get to 38. But then after you get to 38, you just fucking blast all the way to 99. Which is neat, because there's this game's got an optional extra dungeon. Yeah, how weird is that, right? It's a really cool, interesting little design decision there. Kind of reminds me of Dragon Quest XI's ability point curve. I guess neither of y'all got far enough to know this, but in Dragon Quest 9 or 11, just like 8 and 9, every time you level up, you also get like skill points that you can assign to get new skills. And when you first start playing, every like level gives you like 1 or 2 skill points, and then as you get to higher levels, a level will give you 4 or 5 skill points, and eventually, right around the climax of the game, or a little bit before, actually, maybe right around, somewhere in the third act of the game, you're getting like 10 or 11 skill points. But once you pass like level 45, it starts going back down again, and by the time you get to like level 80, it's down to like 2 or 1. It's really weird. It's a really interesting decision, but it's cool. It's cool.
Neat.
If I ever make an RPG, I'll think about doing something like that, because it doesn't just go up forever. It's like, no, we want you to, because you get more and more and more escalation of power. But then if you continue grinding way past the point where you need to, you start getting diminishing returns. Which is a cool way to control the player's experience. So anyway, whatever. Square was doing cool stuff all the way back in this game. game's good, y'all. So I will say in between the two, after phase two of this fight, Eve pontificates a bit, wondering why humans kill each other, the same kind of shit every villain pontificates about. Then she talks about how all organisms have their territory that they fight to defend, again framing this as a simple conflict between two animals in the natural order. She then does this thing where she says that the midichlorians were allowing humans to prosper all along just so that they could be vehicles for the midichlorians. It's just your shit. Then she gets really sexy and we have a second phase. So this conversation was in between two phases. After you beat phase 2, she realizes, no, it cannot be. You are, quote, our natural enemy, end quote. Then she shatters into a bunch of pieces and also dissolves / melts / explodes. It's cool as fuck. And she's dead. That's the end of Eve.
The end.
No. Bulma says that some midichlorians must have undergone a different kind of evolution. Day 6, December 29th, the final day. We are now on as Sam mentioned earlier, a ship that is both a battleship and a aircraft carrier. The weapon storage guy is there, as is the dude who stocks us up on items. We save, and then everyone thinks it's all over, but no. That big blob thing from before, that was a giant womb. And Eve succeeded in birthing the ultimate being.
That was really funny.
Well, I'm glad you think that. Drunk ass. We see the blow in the ocean. What? Oh, blob. We see the blob in the ocean, and the literal giant monster baby claws its way out of its own womb, and shit starts exploding. It's fucking sick. Then the demon baby flies to the deck of the ship, and we have the final battle. Everyone except for Bula runs away. Maeda is like, I gotta give you something. Oh, I forgot to mention a running gag in this game. After you meet Maeda, every single time there's a dungeon or some danger and Bulma is like, I gotta go off by myself to save the day, Maeda is like, wait, take this. And he gives us like a good luck charm, and it's always like some Japanese shit. But by the end of the game, we have like 5 of them, and they're clogging up our inventory. It's hilarious. I didn't want to look up whether they do anything or not because I think that it's cute.
I actually have something interesting about that.
I'll tell you in a second. Or hold on. So I didn't want to look it up because like it's a good luck charm. You just have to believe that it gives you good luck, right? And I didn't want to be mean to poor Maeda. So they were clogging up my inventory this entire fucking game. Eventually I looked it up, and I'll just tell you they don't do anything. Which is
false.
One of them might do something.
Yes, one of them does something.
No one knows if they do anything.
Yes, exactly. But it's just one of them though. The other 3 definitely do nothing.
The Narita turns into a ammo box in EX mode. That's what Narita does.
Okay, cool. That's why you can't get rid of it. That's why you can't put it in your box. Anything in your box doesn't carry over New Game Plus. Anyway, though, the point is he keeps giving you shit. It's a funny little gag. So at this point, Bulma's like, I'm gonna go save the day. And Maeda's like, wait, I have to give you something. And Daniel's like, but dude, fucking seriously, this is so annoying. I think he said something like, we don't have time for your voodoo shit. which is quite funny. So they go off, which is a fun little, like, obviously this time it was probably something important, right? So then we have a 4-phase boss battle, because what kind of TRPG would it be without a 4-phase final boss battle? It's a great battle. It's not that hard, but it's hard enough to be scary and tense. Like, I had to pay attention and play good, and all of its attacks were interesting and pretty. The attacks were the perfect combination of, like, they're not so hard to dodge that you never dodge them, and then you're just soaking up damage and it feels unfair, but it's also not so easy that you always dodge them. It's like, no, you gotta dodge these attacks, otherwise you're gonna be taking some damage and you're gonna feel the tension and the pressure, right?
And only one of them feels like bullshit and unreadable. The grown-up phase, the purple orb things, like those, it's hard to tell what like the hitbox is on those because it's sprites on a 3D
That's
plane.
true,
So, like,
though it's
that
really
one is like
easy to dodge.
But like it's harder than the rest of them. That's the only one that I would like even put in like the bullshit category.
All you gotta do
the
is
rest
get
of
right
them
next
are
to
like, yeah,
Every
that's
time.
what I've found out. Found out my 5th time doing the boss fight, which we'll get to.
Oh yeah.
But,
so anyway, it's also, as you'd expect, the music is incredible. It starts off very simple and then builds a layer for each phase, like you'd expect, because that's the cool thing to do. Part 2 is, in my opinion, the toughest because the one guy splits into 2 guys. So then it gets really Undertale-y with 2 different enemies doing these different moves at you that you got to dodge, right?
Yeah, but if your handgun shoots a burst, you kill the bird basically the moment they separate because it's been taking damage the whole time.
Yeah, man. So the shotgun rules, and I was using the shotgun just as its own weapon in the museum a lot, but I didn't put the shotgun burst on the rifle, partially because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my weapon loadouts, and also, frankly, I thought maybe like, what if the burst like reduces the damage that it does? Turns out it doesn't.
It doesn't.
But I didn't know that because I wasn't looking stuff up, right? In retrospect, and then by the time I realized I should have done that, I didn't have any more tools.
Yeah, every other like rate of fire or area of effect thing has a huge drawback, and it's not worth it. Like the elemental ones specifically, like the ice and fire sound great, but if they are weak to ice and you shoot ice at them, it'll do double damage. Otherwise, it does half damage. So 90% of the time, it will do half damage, and it sucks. And then the rate of fire, you're like, oh, this is great. Now I'm shooting 7 bullets that do 1/7 of damage. So what you actually want to do is use a super tool to remove that and put it on some other gun that doesn't matter, so that now you have one shot that does heck of damage.
Yeah, it's actually quite weird. So it turns out it's like this. If you do one shot, you do 100% damage. If you do 2 shots, they each do 60% damage for a total of 120% damage. More damage, but also a little harder to use, right? Yeah. 3 is actually the most. 3 is like 126% total damage, but again, now you're doing 3 shots. I suck with 2 personally, mostly because I didn't have any super tools, but also 2 is fine, and sometimes you choose to do 1, right? And also 2, you can shoot 2 different enemies if you want to poison them. You know, you get a little bit more variety. But yeah, so if you're playing this game, put the shotgun burst on your best weapon. Just do it. Put it on your rifle.
Just do it.
Or on your pistol.
Put it on your rifle
or whatever.
Or on your M8000, whichever one.
What you should do is save your tools and super tools, and then when you find the M8000 at the very end of the game, put everything on it because it has the highest base stats.
Yes.
Use all of your trading cards to give it a bunch of slots, and just pile every good thing you found in the whole game on this one gun. That's what you should do, but I didn't do that. So anyway, however, my M6 blah 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 rifle, which is really good. It was a good gun. So anyway, so after we beat phase 3, we get to the final phase, but all of our weapons just do 1 damage. Oh no! Actually, Maeda's gun does 2 damage. I switched to it thinking maybe that was the trick. It isn't, but it does 2 damage, which is neat. Or this is the one time, by the way, when high rate of fire is actually good. The second time I fought this boss, I switched to the machine gun, which had a ×7, and guess what? It does 1 damage each time, no matter what. So now I'm hitting it 7 times in a row really fast. It was really fun. I felt smart.
Nice.
Anyway, after you do about 20 HP or so, there's a cutscene. Bulma says, I know you want to continue living. After all, you were just boron. But we all need to continue living too. Maeda, up in a helicopter, says, I gotta get this to Bulma. Turns out it wasn't just a pointless waste of time trinket, but bullets made from her blood. Daniel grabs it and jumps out of the fucking helicopter in
like
midair.
A badass.
So I'm already like, you're jumping out of a helicopter, you're gonna land on the deck of his boat and splat and die. But no, as if it wasn't bad enough, in midair, Eve sets him on fire. So now he's flaming and falling through the air. And when he gets close, he fucking chucks the bullets at Bulma, who manages to catch them. Really good throw and a good catch. And he lands in the ocean. So we can assume he probably lived, which is good because
it's a good FMV.
It's
so good.
It's so badass. So now we have the special bullets.
The five times I had to fight this thing, I was like mashing and checking my phone and not caring through the cutscenes. I watched this one start to finish every time. It's so good.
The gun does 999 damage with each hit, so we have to shoot it like 8 times or so. It's not exactly a final Sephiroth fight where you can definitely not lose. The enemy is attacking you, and the attacks are very interesting and a little bit tricky to dodge. Okay, they're not hard to dodge, but it's hard to find a time where you can stop and shoot your gun, right? Because you stand still to shoot your gun. I didn't lose it or anything, but like I can see how if you came in without if you came from the previous phase, not in a great spot, it could be pretty dangerous. So you win the fight, but it's still not dead. It's crawling on the ground toward Bulma, and we have a chase sequence. That's right, an insta-death chase sequence right after the 4-phase final boss. We run to the boiler room. So we run down some hallways. The first time I played this, I got owned because I tried to save, but the phone didn't work. And then when I tried to open the door, it caught up with me and I died. Lol. So then I did the whole thing again. I did do a save state, but didn't end up having to load it. So technically I didn't cheat. It's crawling. Anyway, for the second time, I did go ahead and look up a map because it's like, whatever. So you have a chase sequence. You run to the boiler room. You overload the thing. You escape and the entire battleship fucking explodes. It's awesome.
So
Aya is okay because she's not on the battleship. She is merely directly next to it
in the water. If you're underwater, nothing hurts you.
Yeah. That's actually surprisingly true. There's a Mythbusters episode on it
for sure.
But so my time through this game for this last part was annoying. So I had a fairly tense but not horrible time with the final boss, and I had been following a guide because we didn't have a lot of time because I didn't do jack shit because Christmas and stuff, and so I only had one night to beat everything. So I had been following a guide, and I got through the final boss, saw that there were still paragraphs. It wasn't like, oh, you win automatically. So I glanced down to where those are, and they're like, oh, you have to run away. I look up and it's on a game over screen, because the text box that is up that pauses the action the whole rest of the game did not pause the action here, and so the monster had killed me. So that was bullshit. So I went and I did it again, and when I loaded my save, it was before you talk to there's the requisitions guy that like loads up, basically fills your inventory with stuff that you need, and it was before I had talked to him. So I talked to him again, went back to beat the final boss again, same tactics and everything. Went to go to do it, saw the phone, tried to save just like Maddy, got pwned, had to do it again. So this time I hand the phone to Summer. I'm like, Summer, I need you to read the guide as I'm doing it so that I know which direction to go. So she's reading it, and I am making my way through it, and I get like most of the way through, and then the game, being a game on the PlayStation, doesn't understand that video games have to follow the 180-degree rule from Film 101. Like, it doesn't understand that. Silent Hill and Resident Evil are both infamous for doing it. Parasite Eve said, hey, survival horror, we're going to do it too. So you exit up through a door to come down on the next screen after a load zone. And so I was holding up because I'm running away from a thing and I want to be moving on frame 1. So on frame 1, it sends me back through the door and I get pwned. So I go to youtube.com and search for Parasite Eve, both endings, and watched it from here because 4 times was
quite
too
enough.
Fucking much.
This motherfucker just said pwned in the year of our Lord 2020.
Also, it's never been pronounced pwned. It's pronounced owned.
Yep. But I wanted you to know that I had misspelled it. So I said pwned.
That's
valid. It was for your benefit.
You wanted us to know that you were saying something stupid.
Yes.
I get it. So anyway, this whole scene is a little dumb, but also it rules and etc. Oh, and the music during this chase scene is fantastic. It literally like slowly increases in tempo. It's so good. Anyway, so now they all stand on the shore and discuss what has transpired. Bulma says, "Why do I have this power?" It turns out she also has a transplant from her sister. When she was 7, she probably doesn't remember, but she was born with a defect in her eye. So Maya's cornea was transplanted when Maya died. The vision she keeps seeing is basically, they say that there's some fringe scientific theory that if someone sees a really traumatic or serious experience, the image gets literally like imprinted onto the cornea. So that's why sometimes she sees that image of the hotel, of the hospital room, you know, whatever. It's probably made up. But then again, given how much stuff in this game isn't made up, maybe not. So Maya and Bulma,
I'm pretty sure it's a fake thing that some people actually believe or believed at some point.
Good. Yeah. But that's cool though. I mean, like the game didn't make it up, which is neat. Kind of like how they used to think that memories were in DNA. So Maya and Bulma's mitochondria lived symbiotically together and evolved in a cooperative way so as to be a counter to Eve. Maeda says, "This is a message to humankind. If the Earth is a living being, then humans are like an out-of-control virus, upsetting the natural balance of the body. We're like a parasite, and the Earth is our host. They gaze over the sea. 2 years later, these people are in the same room as the people making Chrono Cross." Yes. We have one final scene, and it's really fucking good. So Bulma, Daniel, Ben, and Maeda are going to the opera. There's on New Year's Eve. There's also an implication that Maeda and Bulma maybe kind of like each other a little bit, like very low key, but like maybe a little bit. So they go, and they're in the place watching the opera, and guess what? It's the exact same opera. After this horrible tragedy where most of the audience died and stuff, apparently they're like, well, we're going to use the backup singer, and we'll have the show, show must go on. We'll have our next performance in a couple days. See ya. So they're doing the same opera where it's literally the exact same scene we saw from the beginning of the game, where the king, it's the courtly drama where he's like, we got to put the witch to death, blah, 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 blah. It gets to the part where last time everyone caught on fire and died, and Bulma, and like as soon as the lady starts to sing, Bulma and Daniel and Maeda all like stand up in their seat like, oh no.
and both of the cops, their hand goes to their waist, like they're obviously holding their gun.
Yeah, they're like about to grab their fucking guns. It's really cute. But then the play just continues, and then after a second, the people behind them, but in the audience, are like, "Can y'all sit down, please?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry." And I thought that was going to be the end. Which would have been a really cute, lighthearted kind of ending, but no. It gets cooler. First of all, there's a beautiful pan up to the chandelier, and that would have been a great ending shot, but no. There's a cut scene where you just see Bulma, and she's thinking, and she's probably having some memories, and you see the singer and the singing, and then you see Bulma's eyes like start to glow, and I don't know what color they're glowing because everything was red in my game, which made it look really cool.
They
were glowing red.
So her eyes start to glow, but then you see a shot of Daniel, and his eyes start to glow, and then Maeda's and Ben's eyes glow, and then there's a full shot of like from the point of view of the stage, like up where the chandelier kind of would be, of the entire audience, and one by one, all their eyes start glowing. Not all of them, but like 30% of the audience, their eyes just start like blinking in like stars, and then it cuts to black. It's a fuck. Oh, and the music starts getting like action music starts playing, and then it smash cuts to the credits. It rules.
I've got to say one thing that really bugs me about this ending. I love how weird and nonsense and ambiguous it is, but I got to say, Aya had her right cornea transplanted from Maya, but it zooms in on her left eye and like goes in and shows the mitochondria doing stuff. And I'm like, you should have zoomed in on her right eye because that's the freaky Maya eye. Yeah. But no, it zoomed in on her left one.
Look, here's what it looked like for me. It looked even cooler for me. It's ending. Whatever, you'll see in a second. So that's the ending, and then we get some ending credit music, and then we get like a vocal theme, which is really good, really good vocal theme.
Square really liked to have its vocal themes over the credits. Like, remember the bouncer?
Oh, yes. Very, very good. Okay, the thing uploaded. Y'all should look at it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Anyway, so that's the ending. But then you get to save your game, and this game has New Game Plus. So New Game Plus, I'm not going to go into it, but basically you get to play the whole game through again. At the end of the game, by the way, before we the final boss, the gun guy says he'll engrave your name on a gun. I named my gun Penis, and I named my armor Balls. And whatever you engrave your name on will carry over to the next game.
I named my armor Aya Garb.
Nice. I was gonna name the armor Cum Defender, but it doesn't fit because it was the CM Defender too.
Yes.
But anyway, what you can also do is take on the optional dungeon, which is the Chrysler Building. It's a really long dungeon. Literally, like, the long play of the dungeon is like 5 hours. It's insane. Yeah. It's like, if you look at the world of long play of this game, it's 2 parts, and the first part is like 8 hours, and it's the whole game, and the second part is like 6 or 7 hours, and it's just the Chrysler Building.
So we didn't do that.
No, we didn't. I've heard it's a lot of fun, and honestly,
I've heard it's a horrible slog, which for you is a lot of fun.
Exactly. It sounds like it owns, but if you beat it, what happens is, wait, did I not write the notes? Did they not save? Whatever, I'll just wing it. Basically, she fights all the way through this building, and she gets all the way to the bottom or top or something, and it's like a creepy layer, and there's like weird shit everywhere, and what the fuck, in the middle, like an egg thing hatches and opens, and it's that little girl. And the little girl says, "This is not an illusion. I'm really here this time." And Bulma's like, "Maya?" And she's like, "No." And then we find out that it's actually the original Eve. And then there's a little bit of plot lore. And then basically what ends up happening is she's like, "I'm being reborn, blah, 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 blah." Bulma is like, "No, I'll get you," right? And then there's this long scene where basically we don't get to see anything happening. It's just like Bulma is like keeled over, and we're hearing voices and seeing dialogue and hearing her narration, not hearing, but you know what I mean, text boxes. Both her own narration, her own voice, and other voices of like Eve and of Maya. And basically this huge battle happens inside of her where like that's right. The whole issue is that Eve is now trying to take over Bulma. She's trying to take her over and say, "You're going to be the new host," right? So there's this internal battle where it's like midichlorians and Eves are inside fighting each other, and then Bulma is in there too, and they all have dialogue, and it's this weird psychosexual biological intercell. It's basically we watch the entire film Osmosis Jones,
but only from the outside.
Yeah. Anyway, it's cool. I was kind of going through it pretty quickly. And again, I didn't actually get this ending. I was just watching it, but it's really dope. It's just this cool internal battle. And then she wins, and hooray. But I will say, in the end, what happens is they end up like canceling each other out. So she loses her weird powers. So at the end, she doesn't have the weird powers anymore, which I don't know how that squares with the ending, which implies that like everyone's having these weird powers now.
The original ending is the bad ending, and it's implied that because Aya has all the mitochondria shit, the song for whatever reason still like makes everybody go crazy, and it's a whole nother crisis. But if you go here, you cure yourself of that. So eventually, if you went back and ended it again, it wouldn't kill everybody, and things would be okay. It doesn't do that in the game, but you don't have any of the mitochondria power, so your eyes wouldn't have been all glowy and fucked with people there. So that's why Parasite Eve 2 doesn't start with we are all mitochondria zombies and it's all Aya's fault. It starts with,
which would have been pretty cool.
Would have been cool.
I don't know if that's how I would interpret that ending, but I mean, it sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, both endings are kind of weird and vague, and we would need to play Parasite Eve 2 to know what happens.
Yep.
Exactly.
Which, for the record, I'm probably going to because I enjoyed the fuck out of this game. Parasite Eve 2 ditches the cool combination ATB action Undertale-ass battle system in favor of just being Resident Evil, which is really a ballsy move. They're like, I'm sorry, did you think we were a company that made Japanese role-playing games? Anyway, I'm not going to play it right away, but I would probably love to because, boy, this game was cool. The graphics were beautiful, and I loved it. So, yeah, let's listen to, I don't know, either the final boss theme or... also, I will say the second true ending. Its credits song is... it's got different credits. It's got different graphics during the credits, and the credit song, instead of being the vocal theme, is the orchestral version of the game's main theme, which is
nice.
Really all-time great piece of Yokoshima Mora music. And for the record, that theme has been those motifs have been throughout the game's soundtrack. The do that like little piano line has been in many tracks throughout the game, but you don't really hear the song until the credits. You do hear some versions of it, but you don't really hear it till the credits. So yeah, play whatever song that is, and let's talk about our mem months.
Hell yeah. Bernard, what do you have?
I don't have a lot that we haven't discussed so far, but I did like when they're going to the opera, Aya and Maeda go in and sit next to each other, and Daniel and Ben are like in the restroom, and they sit next to each other, and Maeda's like, I have to go to Japan soon, so I thought I should tell you before I leave. And then Ben busts in and he's like, scoot over, Maeda, I'm sitting next to Aya.
Yeah, it's cute.
And it's really cute. And also it's clear that Ben just thinks Aya is the most badass person ever after seeing her in action. And yeah, because she is. Yeah. So that was a really cute. Also, I looked up a map for the sewers because the sewers are a fucking maze. And it said that at the end of the sewers, I would fight a giant crab.
That was one of my mem-moms too. I was so excited because crab in game, but
it's a giant centipede. And I was like, how the fuck do you get confused by that? But then it turns out the warehouse is a giant crab. So I guess I just got that mixed up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And, so and that warehouse crab boss is great. I was like, crab in game. Really funny. He's got two different hands. You can shoot off both of his claws, at which case he just becomes a little body scurrying around with no claws, and it becomes a lot easier because you can just stay right next to him and he can't hit you. Fun times. Love crab in game.
Trying to think if there's anything else I had. I mean, this whole game, and especially the second half of the game, is very taut. There's not a lot of running around talking to NPCs.
Yeah, it's largely a dungeon crawl with a few plot dumps.
So, yeah, it's... there's not a whole lot of memorable moment fodder in this game.
I have one
compared to, say, other RPGs where you're just going around talking to townsfolk.
I have one mem that'll be done uploading in about 5 seconds. So y'all just take a look at just take a look at that one. That one's mine. When we're on the
I don't get it.
When we're on the Brooklyn Bridge, realizing that the monsters at the museum, we get a beautiful shot of the old World Trade Center. Extremely fun. Always love when that shows up in things. RIP to a real one. And that's all I got. Most of what I love about this game is just the fucking graphics, and I have a bunch of screenshots of just amazing graphics, but can't really talk about that on a podcast except just to say that yowza this game's graphics.
Your favorite thing is the graphics, which is why you put a whole bunch of artificial post-processing features on them so that you couldn't see them as well or as intended.
The normal, I'd already seen enough of how it's supposed to look, and I thought that was cool, so then I decided to see it a new way.
Yeah, I went out of my way to buy RCA cables for my PS3 so I could hook it up to a CRT so it would look 100% accurate the way it was dev intended, and Maddy made it purple with VCR tears.
Yeah.
So
well, that's the thing. I do own this game on PSN. I just can't play it because because my PlayStation 3 is died. So one of these days I'll play the game again on a CRT as God intended. But since I was emulating, which I never do, I was like, ooh, piece of candy.
So my memorable moment is more at Barnyard House tweet where because we were talking about how it would be it's a shame that all of the animals in the game don't act more like their animal, but then again most animals don't have ranged attacks, and just the riffs that we had, like imagine if animals did have ranged attacks, just it tickled me pink and took me through the last bit of the game, and it was great. Otherwise, like Bernard said, there's like a couple funny ways that my Ada says things to clamp in that scene, and I didn't write them down. I remember being like, oh, that's funny, I should screenshot this, but I'm on the PS3, so I couldn't. So I just
the writing also did continue to be weird. It had, again, weird capitalizations, but also just sometimes just the game's use of like ellipses or punctuation in general just isn't the way it ought, the way that it should be. It's just weird. I don't know who localized this game, but they mostly did a great job, but they also they did a great job of the parts that are like writing. Like if they were translating this into like a screenplay or a book, they'd be fine. But with the way that a game is, you want to use the text boxes to also convey like emotion or action sometimes. Like you're conveying the way someone's talking with the text, right? And the way that the localizer did that is weird and not that good, but also cute and gives the game a bit of a character.
Yeah, that does remind me. So I had said that this was a Secret of Evermore situation where it was a lot of Square Japan and Square USA working together and watching the credits. That is definitely true. Like most sections, 3 of the 5 names would be American names for like, battle programmers would be like so-and-so for important person from Square whose name I'm blanking on, and then underneath it would be like Eric Dodds. That's a WoW guy, but I don't remember the names offhand, but it's like regular schmegular English names like for half the credits, which is cool because that's why the localization is so good, because on the PlayStation them working across the divide, as it were, it was very rare, and that's why a lot of PlayStation localizations are not that good. And so this is like top tier localization because they were involved from the jump.
Yeah,
and it's really cool.
Which makes sense because the game is so very inspired by Hollywood movies.
Very American. Yeah.
Another thing that occurred to me, I felt like it was weird that Eve didn't have nipples, because it's like, this game is a hard M anyway.
Yeah, it is strange,
but her boobs are smooth.
I think that probably
that's
would
a
have been
Japanese
I
thing.
think that
I think
would
it's
have
like
been,
a yokai.
Yeah, no, like you know how it is. Any kind of sexuality in, I mean, think about the fucking hot coffee scandal in GTA. GTA is an M-rated game, and if an M-rated game is like an R-rated movie, then a sex scene should be fine, right? But no,
Yeah, it's just sort of like every game, even games that aren't rated G, are still kind of rated G sometimes.
there's still games are still like for kids because culture thought that games were for kids. So yeah, no, they probably just wouldn't have been able to do that. Like,
Yeah, and I also wonder if it's a Japanese thing in general, because there are an awful lot of like nippleless boobs in anime, even like
that's true.
The non-translated ones where like human girls in anime will have nipples, but like yokai and weird monsters will just have weird smooth boobs. So I wonder if it's
It could be
like a cultural thing about monsters.
I wouldn't know anything about anime with boobs in it.
Wait, there's boobs in anime? Never heard of that.
Anyway, I think that just about wraps it up for this wonderful video game. Merry Christmas, everyone. Wonderful Christmas game that this is. Oh yeah. The game continues when you go to the hospital. The game continues to have like Christmas trees and lights everywhere. It's so cool. I love the Christmas as a setting. It's just so nice because you know what? There's no fucking reason not to set something at Christmas. Okay, it is a time of year. You could set your story can be during Christmas just like it can be during any other kind of year. So why the fuck not, right? Which is fun. But yeah, no. Hope you all enjoyed these episodes. Hope you all enjoyed our hope you're all enjoying your holiday. Next week we will be back to our normal business and back to some new old normal business. Sam, are we still doing that?
What new old normal business?
Doing Dot Hack Part 3.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know if it'll be starting. But if you like listening to the three of us exactly in this order, we will be finishing up Dot Hack starting again in a week or so. We just had to get away from the holidays.
Yeah, I was just really busy and also didn't have a PS4, but also was really busy and I have my PS4 back and my life is less busy. So fuck it. Let's fucking play Dot Hack Part 3.
I booted up Dot Hack Volume 2. Dot Hack GU Volume 2, and grind it a bit just to remind myself how to play and everything. And my main takeaway was Parasite Eve sure is a better game than Dot Hack.
Yes.
Because I played both of those the same day, and I was like, I like one of them better.
Yep. But yeah, so I'm sure that'll be really interesting and probably combination of bad and good and amazing and stupid. And then once we knock that out, we will be ready to hopefully pretty soon, once it gets funded, play our fucking shortcast, which, you know, we've been talking about how excited we are for it. So we got a great 2021 coming up for you folks.
Hell yeah. If you are listening to these in order and you are playing along with Septerra Core with us, when we come back, we will be stopping in Scumm Town, which is my favorite podcast. But that's where it is. It's probably too big of a chunk, and we'll end up about halfway to there again. But that's where we're hoping to get this week, is all the way to Scumm Town. It is after a big dramatic thing that I don't want to talk about because it's a big dramatic thing, but I know what it is. So if you like what you hear and you want to check us out and help support us and all that jazz, we are on the web at www.rpgbook.club, and that is a shortcut to our Ko-Fi where you can donate. It has links to our Discord and our Twitter, and you can come and hang out with us because we love you all. And other than that, I am Sam Allman.
I am Maddy Grace Fiffle-Webbin.
And I'm Bernard, the one who is drunk.
Maybe next time I will be the one who is drunk. Who can say? Bye, everybody.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Yes, and happy fucking New Year. We made it through 2020. 2021, I'm calling it now. It's going to be a real good year. I know I say that
You called that about 2020, and it did not work out.
That time I was wrong, but this time I'm right. And 2021 is going to be dope as fuck.
I have thought
it's
about
getting
that
better all the time. Can't get much worse.
Exactly.
I have thought about that episode of Hyper basically every week when the new thing happened to make 2020 suck. That Maddy was like, you know what? I'm really feeling it deep in my bones that 2020 is going to be the best year ever. I'm like, God damn it, Maddy. You jinxed us personally. 2020 is your fault.
Well, I'm saying it again. 2021, best year ever, baby. Hey, best city in the world, the Big Apple. Hey, I'm walking here.
The Big Apple 2021.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.